Attraction isn't about tricks, rehearsed lines, or manipulative tactics. It's about something far deeper, far more meaningful. It's about creating a real connection, one that lingers in the mind long after the moment has passed. Most men today get lost trying to impress. They think they need to act louder, dress flashier, or show off to catch a woman's attention. But the truth is, none of that matters if there's no substance underneath. The most powerful form of attraction isn't loud. It's quiet. It doesn't scream, it draws in. It's subtle, and yet undeniable. True attraction starts from within. It's not about changing yourself to fit in or trying to be what someone else wants. It's about becoming deeply comfortable with who you are, so much so that others naturally feel drawn to your energy. A man who walks into a room with calm confidence, who doesn't need to announce himself to be noticed, who carries a sense of control in his posture, his eyes, and his words, that man holds a kind of power that can't be taught by quick tips or surface-level tricks. What women respond to, what truly captures attention and keeps it, is presence. Presence is that unspoken sense that you're fully there in the moment. You're not distracted. You're not performing. You're grounded, listening, watching, and aware. Your presence shows in the way you make eye contact without flinching, in the way you listen without interrupting, in the way you respond with patience rather than rushing to speak. And it creates a feeling that's hard to describe, but impossible to ignore. This kind of attraction doesn't chase. It doesn't beg for approval. It simply exists, and because it's so rare, it becomes magnetic. When you're truly present, you signal emotional maturity. You're not reacting to the world, you're responding. You're steady. And that steadiness makes you different. It makes people feel safe. It makes them curious. It makes them want to know more. Another thing that sets you apart is your emotional depth. Most men aren't taught how to listen, how to feel, how to hold space for someone else. But when you do, when you truly listen to a woman, when you pay attention to the small things she says, the emotions beneath her words, the way she lights up about something she cares about, you make her feel seen in a way she may never have experienced. You're not just noticing her appearance. You're noticing her essence. This kind of attention isn't common. Most people are waiting for their turn to talk. But you, when you're really tuned in, you're doing something different. You're not thinking about the next thing to say. You're not checking your phone or scanning the room. You're there. Fully. And in a world where people are always rushing, always distracted, that kind of attention feels rare. It feels meaningful. And it makes an impact. But presence alone isn't enough. There's another layer, one that deepens the attraction and adds mystery. And that's restraint. You don't need to share everything about yourself right away. You don't need to explain your entire story on the first meeting. In fact, holding back a little, sharing pieces slowly, creates curiosity. It invites discovery. When a woman feels like there's more to learn about you, more to uncover, she stays engaged. She becomes intrigued. She starts to imagine the parts of you she hasn't yet seen. Mystery isn't about playing games. It's about pacing. It's about understanding that not everything needs to be said. It's the quiet confidence of knowing that your presence speaks louder than any story you could tell. And when you drop subtle hints, when you say things like, "It was an interesting weekend, maybe I'll tell you about it later," you're not teasing, you're creating space for imagination. That space is powerful. That space makes you different. When you know who you are, when you don't rely on approval or attention to feel worthy, you give off an energy that's impossible to fake. It's the energy of a man who's whole. A man who isn't looking to be completed by someone else. A man who is already full, but open to sharing that fullness with the right person. Your tone and language matter too. How you speak. The pace of your words. The softness or strength in your voice. All of it communicates something beyond the words themselves. A man who speaks slowly, who takes his time, who pauses before responding, he comes across as thoughtful, deliberate, and calm. And that calmness is attractive because it feels stable. It feels safe. It feels grounded. There's something powerful about a man who doesn't rush to fill silence. Who doesn't talk over others. Who lets his words breathe. That space, those pauses, create tension. Not the kind of tension that causes discomfort, but the kind that builds anticipation. The kind that makes her lean in, wondering what you'll say next. Or what you're thinking. And then there are your eyes. Eye contact is one of the simplest, yet most powerful, tools of attraction. Not the kind of stare that feels forced or uncomfortable, but the kind that's steady, unshaken. When you look at someone and truly see them, when you hold that gaze with a calm intensity, it sends a message. It says, "I'm here. I see you. I'm not afraid of connection." That kind of gaze creates a current between two people. It pulls her in. It makes her feel chosen. You don't have to say much. Sometimes, the silence between your words, the space between your glances, the stillness in your presence, that's where the connection lives. When she speaks, and you look her in the eyes, really hearing her, really understanding her, she feels it. She feels the difference between being heard and being seen. And once she experiences that, it's unforgettable. Even in moments of vulnerability, your presence matters. If she opens up, don't rush to respond. Don't try to fix or analyze. Just hold the space. Let her speak. Let the silence sit for a moment. Let her feel that she's safe in your energy. That silence, that patience, is powerful. It tells her that you're not just hearing her story. You're feeling it with her. And when it's your turn to speak, don't be afraid to take your time. Don't be afraid to say less, but mean more. Let your words land. Let them echo. When you say something genuine, something thoughtful, and then pause, she hears it more clearly. She feels it more deeply. That's the art of communication that most men miss. It's not about talking more. It's about being more intentional with the few things you do say. Your lifestyle also adds depth to this. When you have goals, passions, and a sense of purpose that exists outside of her, she sees that you're not dependent on her attention. You have a life you're building, a vision you're following. And that independence is attractive. It creates a contrast. Most men are trying to impress, trying to gain approval. But you're just living. And in doing so, you become someone she wants to be around, not because you need her, but because she enjoys how she feels in your presence. When you end a conversation on a high note, leaving just enough mystery, just enough emotion, she's left thinking about you. She remembers how she felt. She wonders what comes next. That space you leave is what keeps her engaged. That balance of presence and mystery is what makes you unforgettable.